Hello everyone. For my first recipe I'm going to be making stuffed cabbage rolls. Easy recipe, requires a little bit of work and a lot of caution so you don't get burnt. The only ingredients needed are a nice head of cabbage, a little bit of rice, ground beef, and 3 to 4 cans of condensed tomato soup. The first step we're going to take is we're going to put a whole head of cabbage right into this pot of water. Submerge it a little bit. You can see the air bubbles coming out of it. Well, I'm going to put this back in the fridge until we're ready for it. Okay. Add some more water. Your cabbage should be close to being submerged. Okay, we're going to put a lid on this. And we're going to cook it off on the stove, and then we'll come back and show you how to peel the leaves. Okay, it's been boiling about a half an hour now. This is where you have to be really careful. Over here my stove is not hot at all, so I'm using a plastic tray. You can also use a metal tray if you feel more comfortable. Tools, anything you think that's going to work for you. My first step is to make sure I have enough pot holders handy. I'm going to take the lid off the pot. I'm going to attempt to roll it over. And get a fork stuck into the core. Slotted spoon, spatula, whatever you feel like. As you can see, it started to fall right back out that fork, so you need bottom support. Because you definitely do not want to take the chance of dropping that in the boiling water. You will get burnt. Like that. I did that on purpose just to show everyone what not to do. So as you can see, the core is a little soft for stabbing it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a pot holder on the top. This is a reinforced rubber pot holder, so the liquid won't go through to burn me. Now that that's on my tray, I'm going to roll it around to the core. Keep in mind, still very hot, just out of the boiling water. Stab it there and take a knife and cut down real close to the core, straight down. You don't want to curve in or you're going to lose your core completely. You can see the way the leaves are just peeling off. These leaves will be perfect for what we need. Peel off as many as you can until they start to get tough. That's a sign that they haven't been cooked all the way. So you're going to have to put that back in. Once again, use what you have to use. Be safe. Try your best not to drop it. Much lighter now, as you can see. So I'm going right back in the pot with that piece. Putting the lid back on and letting it cook some more. Tray number 2. It's been about 10 minutes. This time I'm going to try some tongs. Since I have a little bit of a core to grab onto. Right out and right over. Once again, I'm cutting here. Peeling. Now that should be plenty to make my stuffed cabbage rolls. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the cabbage back in the boiling water. Very easy to pick up now. I'm going to let it boil for about 15 minutes. Then we'll turn the burner off. So now let's go over to the actual assembly of the cabbage rolls. Okay, now we'll start with the filling. I have 1 pound of ground beef. This is actually ground chuck, so it shouldn't have too much fat. It's the reasoning behind the rice a lot of times. Okay, so I'm adding tomato soup. Since this is ground chuck, there won't be a lot of moisture. I want to make sure the rice gets a little fluffy. So I'm going to add about a half a can. The rest of it I'm going to put into a crock pot. Second can. Directly into the crock pot. Okay. Okay, that's going to be my base layer in the crock pot. Next step is the cabbage leaves themselves. May have some of these that are kind of dark and kind of bruised. Okay, I'm still going to take them and I'm going to cut. Make sure you can see this. Not a sharp knife at all. Here we go. Take this and we're going to cut right along here. What's that doing is getting that tough vein off there. Okay, these are dirty. It's not dirt per se, but it's just discoloration from being in the ground. So what I like to do with these leaves is just put them in the bottom layer. It'll help prevent sticking. Like here you have an ugly leaf. There isn't too much to save that with, so we'll just cut the chunks out that look bad. And again, rip it in half. To be honest, I eat these. There's nothing wrong with them. Okay, so here we are, the leaves that we're actually going to use. Once again, you're just taking this and cutting off the rough part. Okay, let me turn that stove down a bit. And once again, I'm just cutting them down. Once again, one I wouldn't necessarily use. So again, cut off the darker spot. Still cut off that vein, the thick vein. Put that in the bottom of the crock pot. If you have any issues with it sticking, it'll be the bottom leaf that gets stuck. Okay. And let's do one more. This one is a little rough, a little tough. Could have been cooked a little longer. So we'll do one more. By doing this, you leave your leaf intact and it allows you to roll much better. So I've got 2 more leaves. I'm just going to knock them out real quick. In case we need them, we have them. Because I think today I'm going to make smaller rolls. Okay. Any excess water I'm going to dump off the tray. Now I'll take my ground beef, a little bit of tomato soup, and my rice, and I'm going to mix it up real good. Okay. It's moist, but it's not sloppy. Keep in mind that the rice is going to absorb all that moisture. Now you decide how many you want to make and how much meat. I'm going to make smaller ones this time, so I'm going to go with about that size. Try to make them all about the same size. Pre-roll out your balls. Nothing fancy, nothing special. Just make sure that's all mixed good. And they're all about the same size. Unless, of course, you have small children. When my kids were small, I used to make them little baby ones that were so super small, they just loved them. Okay, so first piece of ground beef. Let's move the ground beef out of the way so you can see the leaf a little better. Put it inside the leaf, up near the top, fold it over, fold it in, and roll it. First stuffed cabbage roll. Put it right in the crock pot. Go on to your second. Put it in, roll it, roll it, roll it. It's 2. Here we go for number 3. As you can see, once it's all set up, it's really easy to get them going. I'd like to turn this here a little bit so you can see it. There we go. You can see how I'm just placing them in the crock pot on top of the existing leaves. Tuck and roll. I've made them with twice this much meat. I've made them smaller. So I mean, it's all up to your preference. This can be made ahead of time and placed in the fridge for a quick meal during the week. Or you can just make them and cook them. They can go in the oven. Personally, I like the crock pot method. Keeps it slow. And we do tend to eat at different times during the day. If you need extra leaves, remember, like the cabbage is still cooking over there. But in my case, I shouldn't need it. I think I have exactly enough. Wow. That was a happy coincidence. Okay. Don't like to waste anything, so any little bit of ground beef that you missed, just throw it in. Just reinforce the fact that the rice was uncooked. Next, I'm going to put this over the top. Just spread it out over. I still want it to have the condensed thickness to it. So So out of 4 cans of tomato sauce, I'm only going to add about a half a can of water just to make sure everything stays nice and moist. As it's cooking, you can check on it, but remember the crock pot does not allow a lot of moisture to escape. The last little bit I'm going to talk to you about is using up the leftover cabbage. Just going to take it. I'm going to cut it. Should be pretty easy to cut. It's partially cooked. I'm not going to use the very center of the core. Okay. I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it in after it cools. I will place it into a freezer bag, lay it flat, put it in the freezer for later on in the week. I will make vegetable soup, and any leftover vegetables, including the cabbage, will go in that soup and cook. So I'm not worried about being all the way done, because you definitely want it to get some of the broth flavor when you finish cooking it, and it will at this point. Okay guys, that's about all I have for this recipe. I will put a picture of the finished product in the comments, and thank you for watching.